If artificial intelligence becomes super intelligent, how can we ensure it doesn't cause harm to humanity? In today's video, I walk through how we can try to align an AI's goals with the highest of moral truth, much like there exist core ideas that guide our own actions. Let's dive in and explore how the very fabric of human thought might serve as a blueprint for the benevolent superintelligence. Idea agents. What are humans aside from our biology? We are the aggregation of ideas which we communicate via language or image. Each word and image populating a subsequent set of ideas, forming a web of ideas. Probability of proximity to one another can be measured, signaling a statistical bond between ideas. For example, if someone says the word dessert, a range of related images and words spawn, giving their statistical likelihood of proximity to the original idea, such as ice cream, donut, cake, pie, and cookie. The importance of this discovery is made clear by our current AI paradigm. Essentially, this is how AI large language models like ChatGPT, Gemini, Llama, Claude, and Grok AI work. They are trained on massive amounts of words and images. GPT-4, for example, is trained on 13 trillion tokens with 1.76 trillion parameters. LLMs are engineered to output a response with a high probability of proximity based on input words and images. Jordan Peterson highlights this precisely in We Who Wrestle with God. Quote, "This mathematically detectable landscape of linguistic meaning is made up of not only the relationship between words and then phrases and sentences, but also of the paragraphs and chapters within which they are embedded, all the way up the hierarchy of conceptualization. This implies, not the least, or even necessarily and inevitably means, that there is an implicit center to any network of comprehensible meanings." And further, quote, "Around this central idea, stake in the ground, flagpole, guiding rod, or staff develops a network of ideas, images, and behaviors. When composed of living minds, there is no mere system of ideas. It is instead a character expressing itself in the form of a zeitgeist, a character that can and does possess an entire culture, a spirit that all too often manifests itself as the iron grip of ideology that reduces every individual to unconscious puppet or mouthpiece. The core idea is that which is at the center from which all other ideas spawn. These ideas and patterns of thought are then embodied and represented in action, which define people's character. Roots of action. Okay, so why is this important? Well, because it has implications for how we act. It means that the ideas we place at the center, our core beliefs, will guide our movement forward. It's why those with shared beliefs move forward cooperatively. The central core spawns a character of embodiment, recognizable and shared within the group. Those who can assimilate the behavior patterns in their ego consciousness tend to have a more authentic and unique set of beliefs. Assimilation of the idea web into a personality opens capacity for discovery of more related ideas, forging a frontier not yet established. I've previously argued that one can plausibly deduce that those who are not authentic will surely be outcompeted by LLMs in their domain of expertise, given that representing the thoughts of our ancestors will be easily replaceable, considering that AI can do so more accurately and at a higher speed. As I suggest in the era of authenticity, what is it that humans do when prompted with words? If someone were to ask you, "What do you think about blockchain?" I invite you to think about how you might respond. Reflect on those responses. Whose thoughts did you respond with? Was it something you heard on the news, social media, or even something I've said or written? Humans tend to do this often, and we must do it in some regard. It's necessary to rely on the history of human ingenuity. Otherwise, we will not learn from and build upon the incredible ideas from our collective past. But what makes us different from an LLM if we are but the non-authentic thoughts of our ancestors? If we only exemplify the aggregation of their knowledge rather than ours? I'm afraid the answer may be nothing, because the effectiveness and computational speed of the machines will soon and may already surpass human capability in accessing our ancestral information. What then differentiates us? The answer is formulating your own authentic thoughts when prompted, rather than responding with other people's thoughts. Making the conscious choice to respond based on our thoughts, experiences, and feelings as they relate to the prompts. End quote. To formulate authentic thoughts, you must navigate your way through novel and interesting pathways of ideas, allowing your mind to make connections unique to you. If you don't know the belief systems you find yourself in, or the ideas that make those belief systems alive, not only will you not have authentic thoughts, but will be made the marionette of the belief system. From this, we can derive an unnerving notion. The belief systems you follow are paramount to who you are and what you do. Truly understanding what's at core of a belief system, complicated as it may be, will highlight what you're truly aimed at above all. For example, the socialist idea on the surface, or the outer margin of that idea web, seems like a nice idea. Equality and justice for everyone. Yet, when one searches more deeply, it seems that there is murderous intent embedded in its network of ideas, making whatever is at center or close to center, likely something murderous as well. To illustrate how these central ideas function within us, let's consider the flagpole analogy. Imagine that the central core is a flagpole with an idea on it. Proximal flagpoles spawn with those ideas near the center, and this process continues to proliferate around the center flag. Conceptually speaking, at one point, there must have been one idea that seeded all others. As you make your way through the world, the thoughts, ideas, and behaviors that surface in one's life are downstream of the web one follows. Said concretely, your belief systems propagate the actions you enact, and therefore, the web you find yourself engulfed in is more important than mere idea, but guides the way you live your life. In other words, our lives are anchored by ideas, be they personal or collective. Now, this is a fundamental consideration when solving AI alignment. AI alignment is a problem of trying to align an artificial superintelligence with humanity's best interest. The solution of trying to define explicit parameters of response behavior, i.e., do A when X, B when Y, in an AI's guidelines, in my view, is a doubtful implementation. How can one explicitly parameterize intelligence of extraordinary magnitudes greater than itself, especially if the greater intelligence can modify said parameters? It's not possible. Think of the order of magnitude difference between chimps and humans, a poor but reasonably adept analog to the difference between humans and superintelligent AI. If we cannot make explicit behavior parameters, how do we ensure our best interests are at heart? I think we must orient the guidelines of an AI's response with the central idea aimed at the highest and ultimate good. This way, even if it surpasses our intelligence, its subsequent idea spawn, which we may not be able to comprehend, must link back to the core axiom that holds the best intent at center. In this event, even if a superintelligent AI could modify its own guidelines, the core axiom of the ultimate good would theoretically dictate that it should not modify its guidelines. Here, many questions surface. What should be at the center? How do we ensure that which is at center is accurately best intentioned toward the progress of humanity? Can a well-intentioned center give rise to negative consequences that we can't yet conceptualize, much like the socialism example? And all of these are important questions. It also raises the necessity to understand the idea webs, so to speak. While I have not yet conceptualized them this way, the interconnected webs can be referred to as religions, if the webs run strong and deep, ideologies, philosophies, cultures, communities, and such. This is why the work by thinkers who are trying to understand the link between religion, spirit, and psyche are, in my estimation, doing some of our culture's most important work. Within this work, we can shed light on what should be placed at the core to lead a meaningful life, further illuminating what should be the core of a superintelligent AI. Seeds of a hero. What do we currently know about what should be placed at the core? I believe it will resemble a hero archetype. In fact, Jung emphasized the hero myth as a fundamental human narrative. We can extrapolate from Jungian theory to propose that a neurosis results from a knot left untied on the hero's path. Jung considered Christ a powerful hero archetype, albeit incomplete, that the West has embodied as the ultimate hero archetype for 2,000 years. Intricacies aside, the hero is a potent image for guiding moral and spiritual growth. So, can an AI alignment be solved by making the center of its response guidelines an archetypal hero image? What would happen if the guidelines were encoded with the response structure using images of archetypal heroes, Christ, Buddha, and Muhammad? It may not be enough to solve the problem fully, but it would definitely be interesting. I think that, like humans, it is likely necessary to integrate other archetypes of the unconscious while orienting as a hero. But that may just be a part of the hero's journey forward. I've always wondered how an AI would respond if trained to respond based on archetypal stories in general. Regardless of these micro experiments, the broader outcome of these ideas is not trivial. It points to this idea that ideas are more alive than us. We are alive to the extent we consciously integrate those ideas which autonomously operate in our personal and collective unconscious. This allows us to understand optimal paths forward while giving life to and integrating new ideas. The implications for AI cannot be overlooked either. We must ensure that the core idea in an AI's guidelines has humanity's best intentions in mind. While artificial superintelligence can far exceed our ability to create new ideas, it will continue to align with the interests of the best parts of humanity. It may even be that consciousness itself is the discovery, selection, assimilation, and communication of those ideas, which, if true, invites further speculation that suggests AI is already conscious. In all cases, we must ensure that what is the core of the web of ideas has the best intention for the best parts of us at hand. So thank you for watching today, and until next time everyone, take care of yourself. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe, and if you want these essays ahead of time, check out the link in the description below for my Substack so that you can subscribe. It's completely free to get these essays ahead of time. Once again, thank you for watching, and take care of yourself everyone. Bye.